Hey everyone, I'm Chris Griffin.
I'm Hailey Patel.
We're here at Engine Room Audio in New York, and today we're going to talk about Auto-Tune. I'm Chris Griffin, a musician, engineer, and producer in New York. Today, I want to take you guys through an actual early production session with a new artist, Hailey Patel. Hailey is 17 years old and has been in the studio in her hometown, but doesn't have much experience in the big leagues. So let me show you how Auto-Tune Pro takes the pressure off everyone in crucial early sessions like this, where an artist could walk away extremely discouraged if they feel they did poorly. Headphones alter perceived pitch in the studio, and without experience on both sides of the glass, this could ruin a session. Okay, let's go put on a vocal. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, go.
I'm ready.
Another thing is, I use lyrics and melody the artists bring in for the initial production sessions, but I want to hear the background stacks and choruses like they might be after we work on and possibly rewrite them. So we stack and layer as we will in the future, but obviously, we don't want to spend a ton of time on them because they're just going to get replaced. Auto-Tune is essential for this process.
And I'm standing on the top of the hill. Yeah, I'm scared I'll change. I hope my life won't fade. And I'm trying not to drown in the deep end. I'm floating, I'm drowning, can I see it? But I'm hoping I'm floating.
I use Auto-Tune to keep the music flowing, while artists gain that crucial experience of hearing themselves in the headphones as they are. And I don't track with it for that reason. We'll put it on afterwards to make everything sound good. Hey everyone, so the session went great. Come back home, coalesce the vocals, and we're ready to begin. But before we do, I just want to address a couple of things. If you're set back because of COVID, or you've had to change what you do because of, the financial considerations, you're not alone. I have had to move out of my long-term 10-year residency at the Engine Room. So I'm literally in 37 square feet in my apartment, like many of you with your home offices. And I just want to tell you, the world needs your voice. The world needs what you do. So keep going. Keep pushing at it. Things will return to normal at some point, and you'll need to have the experience that you would have normally gained. So keep at it. And I just want to encourage you guys. The world needs more beauty right now, not less. All right, and so with that, let's dive into Auto-Tune and figure out how you can bring more beauty to the world using one of the coolest plugins that I know. Let's go. So as the plugin comes up, you'll see, 4 controls, a display, some controls over here, graph, key and scale. So let's start there, key and scale. Well, I produced this track, so I know it's in D flat or C sharp major. But let's say I didn't and I needed to know. Well, Auto-Tune Pro comes with a little plugin here called Auto Key, and we're going to bring that up. And we're going to not source the vocal, but we're going to source the horn part here. Let's just select a little bit of this horn part and listen to it, and it's going to intentionally find out what the key is. And just that quick, it's going to know it's D flat major. There's a lot of DSP happening behind the scenes. It just tracks the pitch and goes, oh, it's probably here. And in this case, it's right. Now, great. So we know the key, but here's the little favorite part of mine. This button, Send to Auto-Tune. I want you guys to look as I press it. It's going to change everything to D flat major. And if I had more instantiations of Auto-Tune in this session, it would go to each and every one of those. And so it would put the key in the scale just as it needs to be. It's a great little utility. It's perfect for what we need to be doing, and it's almost always right. So there we are. All right, so as we bring in Auto-Tune, we've talked about these controls. So let's focus on retune speed first. In this case, it's a retune speed of 20, which this is milliseconds. So it takes Auto-Tune 20 milliseconds to kind of respond to the pitch that's been input and move it towards its tuning, target, shall we say. If I move it down, it'll now take 103 milliseconds, and so on and so forth. Let me demonstrate. I've already got a pre-prepared thing over here. So if we bring this little clip up, the red is where she actually sung. You can see how it comes in. She's a little sharp over here. The blue is where I put her with some lines. And so this is in graph mode. We'll talk about this in just a second. But the blue is where I'm going to want her. That's the target. And this greenish yellow line here, whatever color it is the retune speed and then the output. So in this case, it's going to take about 32 milliseconds to get down to the target. So it comes up and then it waits 32 milliseconds. If we clamp it down all the way to 0, you can see there's no line because it's, it's right on the blue line. It's just clamping down right as fast as it comes in. In this case, we'll wait 15 milliseconds and you can see it's a lot tighter. And in this, 400 milliseconds, basically the phrase is over before auto-tune even starts. So this is a great parameter to either relax the tuning or tighten it up. And you can get a full-on auto-tune effect with a 0 retune speed or something more relaxed right in 30 or 31, maybe even 20. We're going to leave it at 20 for now. So let's go back over to our other clip and dive into that. All right, we're back in this other clip, and let's have a look at input type here. Even though Hailey is a high female singer, I find that alto or tenor is a little bit better suited for female vocals, especially if they're not going super up in the stratosphere. It just tracks a little better, and that's been kind of my experience that alto is probably where you should put a female vocalist. We're in D flat major here. Let's set the retune speed about 20 and see what we've got. There are going to be a couple of issues, and we're going to work through them one by one.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way.
Burbling there a little bit.
Standing on the top of the hill.
Let's solo her up.
I'm scared of change, I hope my life won't fail.
Not terrible.
And I'm trying not to drown in the deep end.
Okay, the fact that, any piece of software can do this right out of the box is pretty cool. Let's talk about retune speed and FlexTune here. FlexTune is short for flexible tuning. Let's go back over to graph mode, and I want to zoom in and kind of show you the quantization of what happens really. All right, so we're in D flat. Let me scroll up to D flat here. And if I were going to put a line here, I've got it snapped to the major scale here. And so we're in a D flat major scale. There is no D. And so when I cross just over the half step, watch, it's going to flip up to E flat. There it is. And if I come down here and cross just between C and D flat here, the major 7, you'll see it flips down. But like all in here, it's going to push it up to D flat, and all down here, it's going to push it down to C. Same thing up here. All in here, no matter how close I get to D, it's going to push it down to a D flat. And the moment I cross over, all the way up to E flat. Okay, so what FlexTune does is it narrows that range just a little bit. And if you increase FlexTune, even with tight retune speeds, it's going to relax where it quantizes the pitch just a little bit. In other words, it's a range. One of the best ways I know to show what FlexTune actually does is to bring up a new session with a sine wave. I got one that goes from 1K down to 500 hertz and back again. Let me play it and I'll show you what it sounds like. And I'll zoom out so you can see the playhead. All right, so if I bring up AutoTune Pro here, it's interesting that a 1K sine wave is literally almost a B, so I've set it to B chromatic here. Let me unbypass, and you'll hear how AutoTune wants to force all the smooth slides to a note. And of course, that's what I've told it to do. I have a retune speed that's really tight. And you can see it on the scale here, and if I put it on major, you'll hear all of the majors. Now, if I do that and I bring up FlexTune, it totally solves that problem, right? Without FlexTune, it's going to sound like, but with FlexTune, even though the retune speed is still almost, well, it's as tight as it can be. Now, if I went to graph mode, I've already tracked the pitch. And let me show you what it would be like if I import the automation. You can see if I go to auto mode over here and bring FlexTune down and then import that data into the graph mode here, you can see how everything gets quantized. Let me zoom in for you guys. And it tries to put it to the major scale. So let me undo that. Go back to auto mode here, turn FlexTune on and graph it. and import the auto, and you can see how that is much smoother on this side. So that's a good way to illustrate what FlexTune actually does. So let's listen, let's add.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way.
So it gets rid of a lot of the burbling.
Yeah.
And you can kind of watch it too.
Change, I hope my life won't fade. And I'm trying not to drown in the deep.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go look at format here. Format's going to be another key control in reducing the artifacts of Auto-Tune as it does what it does. Formats are those non-pitched sounds of your vocal, like the air sounds, the fricatives, the plosives, the everything that is not pitch. And in the old days, tuning software used to tune the formats too. And of course, you don't want that. You want your throat shape to remain the same. You don't want it pitched up or down. And so with format, there's some DSP applied that retunes the format back to where it should be. It's kind of like a counter thing. The pitch goes one way, the formats go the other, to keep the formats just like they should be. And it allows for a much more natural vocal. Let me show you. I'll turn on format and all those burbles and stuff will be gone. So
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way. And I'm standing on the top of the hill. Yeah.
All right, so we're starting to sound pretty natural at this point. All right, so as we're talking about formats here, let's talk about classic mode. Remember I said that back in the day, tuning software tuned the formats too? Well, that's exactly what classic mode does. It turns out that the classic Auto-Tune 5 algorithm was exactly the sound that hip-hop engineers and electronic artists loved. They just loved the robotic nature of that thing. And so, you know, as Auto-Tune matured, they were able to get rid of that. And so they took it out. And so what happened is, you know, with a lot of classic things, you don't know it's an issue until it's gone. And then like, oh my gosh, Auto-Tune 6, Auto-Tune 7 doesn't sound like Auto-Tune 5. It actually sounds better. But we liked this sound. So wisely, the guys were like, well, let's put it back. I mean, it doesn't hurt us. So they put it back and it's called classic mode. And you'll see that FlexTune goes away, format goes away, throat, transpose, all of this cool stuff goes away. And it has that nail to the wall Auto-Tune effect that we all love.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way.
And as I solo it up,
and I'm standing on the top
you can hear
of the hill. Yeah, I'm scared.
And the particular burbles, of course, are what make it cool. So here is regular.
Change, nothing will go
and it's nailed to the wall, but this sounds much more natural.
And I'm standing on the top of the hill. Yeah.
Doesn't quite sound as cool.
I'm scared of change. I hope my life won't fade. And I'm trying not to drown in the deep end.
And that's that sound. So in Auto-Tune Pro, Classic is back and it's full Auto-Tune 5 mode. Now, again, while I'm over here in this area, let's go back to format and you can see throat activates. Without it, there's no throat. And with it, throat comes on. Let me show you what throat is. Let me just come back here. And while I'm at it, let me transpose her down a whole octave. And here's what it's going to sound like.
I'm scared of change.
Right, really robotic, but throat's going to compensate.
And I'm standing on the top of
It lengthens the throat or shortens it up. Chipmunky. Let's kick her up a notch. Like really chipmunk. So we could do this at normal transpositions. 100 is her natural place. So listen again.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way.
You guys all know that sound, right? That's how you get it. So, what's really popular right now is to drop an octave on the same vocalist and layer it up under the real vocal. So here's how to get that. You just increase the throat.
Change, nothing will go my way.
There's your sound.
And I'm standing
So you do that with format, a throat of about 129, and drop it an octave. And so that's the sound, and that's how format and classic and all that kind of work together. All right, natural vibrato. Well, it's a bipolar control, and it either reduces the natural vibrato or kind of enhances it and lets it come on through. It's a real simple control. It works both ways. It's cool. It saved me in a couple of occasions. Humanize, now this is cool. Normally at fast retune speeds, well, if you have a sustained note, well, the retune speed is going to make it sound a little static. And on long notes, Humanize relaxes the retune speed just a little bit to let those kind of quirks and little parts of the humanness in a sustained note come on through. It's a real simple control again, and that's why they're both over on the right side. So now let's go over to my favorite mode where I really live, and that's graphic mode. And that part of auto-tune gives me more control over pitch than any other tuning software in the whole universe as far as I know. Let me show you why I say that. Let's go over here and we start with a blank slate, right? There's nothing here. Well, we've got to get the pitch information into the plugin so we can actually start graphing it. So normally we would hit pitch here and just hit play and it would track in her vocal. But I'm going to show you a little trick to do faster than real-time input. And it's in Pro Tools, so you may know about this trick. It's not a new trick. It's been out for a while. But if you don't know it, here we go. So let me clear all this just so we start with the blank slate. And all I'm going to do is hit pitch. Then I'm going to come over here to Pro Tools and commit up to this insert. Then I'm going to say do nothing when it pops up. That means it's not going to delete the track or hide it or anything. It's just going to keep it right where it is. So watch what happens. So faster than real time, and pitch is enabled, and you can see it draw it in faster than real time. This is a really cool thing. Now, down here, you'll see that it put in the committed track. All we have to do is hit Command Z, undo, and the pitch is in. So let's zoom out, and we can see that really well. All right, so I got it zoomed in here, and what I'm going to do is put lines on all of the main pitches here, as many as I can get. And I'm not going to listen to it a whole lot. I find that you don't have to. You kind of see what's going on. And many people, they want to listen to every little move they make, and it just slows you down. So just put the lines on it. We're going to listen to it and fix later. Let's move through here. And we'll put on a few more, and this is actually going to set us up for our next step with the background vocals. So it's important to go in and get a few lines on here. And you can kind of see it, and I'm standing. All right, so check this out. Let me let you look at this. If we zoom in here, a lot of singers will scoop up to the note from the note before. That's what this is. And sometimes if this is perfectly in tune, but that's out of tune right there, well, the whole note will sound bad. And so even though the target note is in tune, sometimes the approach makes the whole thing sound out. So just be aware of that. And you can kind of see some of these approach notes and some of these decay notes as well. Here she overshot, and we'll deal with that in just a second. Let's look at this. Yeah, see, there's an approach note that's a half step instead of a whole step. And this is really going to make all the difference in the world on that particular note. Now, another cool thing is, as we're moving, you see how the yellow line is like, whoa, and then come down. And well, what we want to do is we're going to take the retune speed on just that line and tighten it up just a little bit so that the note now starts below and then comes up. So let me zoom back out. And one cool thing about it is on the same note, you see, you can have two different tunings. We've got the first part retune speed of 6, second part retune speed of 42, and we could do that on any phrase we want. So let's just continue putting some lines on here. All right, let's have a listen.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way, and I'm standing on the top of the hill, yeah. I'm scared of change, I hope my life won't fail.
All right, so let me just fly through some of the rest of these. All right, so you can draw lines in like I like to do, or there are 2 or 3 other ways that you can get data correction info in as well. Let me talk about those with you. You can bring up graphic, and I've got everything cleared out again. And in this case, we're going to hit make notes. All we do is just push it, and it's going to look at D flat major, And you can either make notes from a MIDI file or just make notes from what it detects. And in this case, we're going to do that. And it brings up a very familiar kind of thing. And in this case, it's gotten the big notes, but I want some of these approach notes too. So we'll just increase the number of notes it sees, and voila, everything's kind of put in, ready to go. And this is nice as well because you can select and it'll give you the note. So you don't really have to pay attention to what you have to hear. And you can retune speed each one of these different note objects however you want. And so it's not as fine of a control as drawing lines yourself, but it's way faster and way easier. And it has the very same kind of outcome. Let's play it and let you hear.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way. And I'm standing on the top of the hill, yeah.
Good. Okay, so that's really cool. And we could select all here and change the retune speed and get all, we could just nail him to the wall if we want to.
I'm scared of change, nothing will.
And of course, we have the classic and the format options available to us as well. So I think a retune speed of about 20 will work. So those are the note things. And of course, you can raise the whole notes. You could transpose the whole thing if you wanted to come up and down, or just one note and put it up to the scale. In this case, we could hit chromatic. Right, and it would do just the one note. So that's note objects and make notes. All right, another way that you can bring in tuning target objects is to import auto here. And what this does is it's almost like it seems. All of the auto settings over on this side of the plugin with FlexTune, and the retune speed and natural vibrato and humanize and so forth now are calculated in. And if I hit graph here with a major scale and hit import auto, literally it just pretends like it's in auto mode. There we go. And so now all of the different automation parameters have been brought in. Here, let me undo that. And let's go over to auto mode and again, kind of just nail it to the wall so you can kind of see what would happen. To let you see that it indeed does. And now everything is squared off just like it would be if the automation were mashed to the wall, so to speak. So I'm going to undo that, go back over here and FlexTune, natural vibrato, and some other things. So now it's basically auto mode, but it's not real time anymore. So I can manipulate different objects more to my liking. For example, this little pitch event right here, I could just maybe get rid of that. Let me select it. And, because I didn't want auto tune moving up there, let's look at a couple of other things. I might want to take this on down, for example. Let's see some other things. It looks really good. Play it. Yeah, see, I would want to mess with that a little bit to make it not sound so tuned. And so I'd want to work with that. All right, another way to do it, let's go back here. Let's zoom all the way back out and clear all of this again. Another way to do things is to make curves. And this will take her audio just the way it is and take the pitch objects and just line them up to what was. And then I can take the whole little set, as it were, up or down. And this is yet another way to really get some seriously realistic effects and just take the whole thing and transpose it 1 cent or 5 cents or 100 cents or whatever it would be to get everything back in tune. And this way I'm not really manipulating the tuning away from what she was doing. I'm just kind of putting it in tune. So this is another great way to get those pitch objects in. Let's take the time and talk about 2 other features sitting right up under our noses here in AutoTune Pro, and that's pitch and time. We're going to focus on the point tool and the region move tool, and we need some different information inside AutoTune Pro to actually get this going. Normally we would just take pitch, but in this case we're going to take pitch and time, so it'll get the time component as well. So we'll use our little commit up to this insert trick. We're going to say do nothing, of course. It's going to bring it in. And as it completes, you'll see the pitch and time information come in. There it is. We'll hit undo out here in the main window just to get rid of that little extra track that Pro Tools generates. Okay, so here is our pitch and time. Let me go over to the beginning here. And the point tool will select a region here. We'll select a little bit of pitch. And wherever I click, that becomes the center point of what we're going to move. So this is no analysis points, no warp markers, no nothing. It just, you know, we took in the information, it knows. So wherever I click, it's very, very clear. And everything to the right gets compressed and everything to the left gets stretched. Listen to it. It's going to sound a mess, but you'll hear the algorithm. Right? And so I find that the algorithm actually sounds better than many stock options that Pro Tools gives you. And I indeed use this a lot. So that's that. And we could take, you know, a bigger chunk, or we could take a really small chunk right here. So let me get rid of that selection. Let's take this little bit. So we could take just the beginning of that, or just that, or we could even come in and get kind of half the note here and take that. And so you can get really precise with it if you wanted to. Let me undo all of that. Now, the select region tool works kind of with a double approach. So let's select this area here. And within that region, we're going to double select this. And what this will do now is take that whole note and leave the note intact, or leave that space intact, and squeeze everything to the left and right of that. So we begin to kind of have this thing.
I'm scared of change, nothing on my way.
Good. And we could move whole parts of a phrase and then squeeze to the left and right of it. Okay, so now we've got all these lines. And so what I'm going to do is, everything is great, but now we've got these backgrounds, and let me play you these backgrounds. You know, if one vocal is weird with headphones, think about 4 more, and that's what we've got. So listen.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way.
Right, it's crazy. So instead of tuning each one of those individually, or even putting auto on those, I've already written the lines, and I've already gotten the retune speeds on all the little kind of quirks. And well, as far as we know, she doubled it well. And again, even though we might erase this once the production progresses, I still want to hear how it sounds, so I know what to produce around. You know, do I need an extra instrument, or do I need this, or do I need that? And can't do that without a full stack of vocals doing what they're supposed to be doing, because that's part of the production process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Auto-Tune Pro. I'm just going to option drag this whole plugin over to all 4 background vocal tracks. And you might say, oh my gosh, were you using the same vocal that you used? Isn't it going to screw up? Yeah, so we're not going to use all of it. Here's what we're going to do. Let me open up the first one. Let's put it in target mode here so I can get all 4 of them opened up. I'm going to hit pitch. Let's move this out of the way. Come in here, target, hit pitch. You see where this is going, right? And so I want you to see all of these happen. So let me hit this as well. We'll hit pitch here, and we'll put this one down here where we can see all of them. And let's hit target here and hit pitch. And we should have 4. Yes, we do have 4 little plugins ready to go. It's a mess on the desktop. I get it, but this is, you know, it's all for show. All right, so let me press play. And when I press play, it's going to track in the new pitches, but the blue lines from the lead vocal will stay, locking the vocals together. Watch this. You'll hear it be a mess all the way through, and then the next time it plays back, it's going to be amazing.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way.
And you can see it rewrite as it goes.
And I'm standing on the top of the hill.
And it sounds a mess, right?
I'm scared of change. I hope my life won't fade. And I'm trying not to drown in the deep end.
All right, so the next time I hit play, if I did my job, it should all be completely synced in one pass. Let's see what happens.
I'm scared of change, nothing will go my way. And I'm standing on the top of the hill. Yeah, I'm scared of change. I hope my life won't fade. And I'm trying not to drown in the deep end.
Perfect. And it'll be that way every time I play it from now on. Great. All right. Well, that about wraps up this video on Autotune Pro. It was a good 30 minutes. I hope it was beneficial for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to know more about what Antares is doing with their products, head over to antarestech.com. And if that's too cumbersome, just autotune.com carries you right there. If you want to know more about what IMSTA is doing, you're probably on the website right now anyway, but it's imsta.org. If you want to know more about what I'm doing, it's jchrisgriffin at Instagram or jchrisgriffin.com. And well, everyone, thanks for your time. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.